What is up, fellow bench warmers? Welcome to your daily fantasy quickie. Hey guys, what's up? It's the midweek. Is it the third day? Today's the third day, right?
Yeah, third day.
Third day. I think, like we said in the past days, today you might see some separation from your competition. But if you are still close, then that's also good because it's gonna be an exciting next 4 days for you guys in your fantasy week. How are you, Kamish?
Fine.
Chilling?
No, my teams are struggling. All my teams have been hit by injuries. What Jeremy said is correct. Actually, after this third day, the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh days, as we said, as in our weekly schedule, kind of few games. There are a few games. I've checked some of my leagues, some of my teams. My opponents and my team, we only have around 5-6 players per day for the next 4 games.
Yep.
4 days, I mean. So very few. So if you're leading right now and leading big, you're looking good.
Yeah, since today there was a full you probably have a full roster with you.
Yes.
There will be some categories wherein either you pulled away or your opponent pulled away, and you get a clearer picture on which categories you'll probably be focusing on, especially if you are in the playoffs. However, today was not spared by injuries. There were still a lot. Well, there were 4 major ones, I guess. 3 big names and 1 major injury, but not the most fantasy relevant among the players that got injured. Well, let's talk about first Deni Avdija. He is out for the season. I think a fractured foot.
Yeah, ankle, hairline fracture.
Hairline fracture, yeah. So he will be out. It was a nasty injury. So he will be out. I think it was similar to what Paul George or maybe Gordon Hayward injury.
I think so. Hairline fractures might mean the bones kind of exploded or something.
It's cringeworthy. I think say the least. I think it's cringeworthy when you look at the video, and it was even covered up just so it won't be too gross when you look at it. So he'll be out.
It's the least fantasy relevant, but I think there's still fantasy impact.
Yeah. Who are impacted with this? Any player who might benefit?
Let's look at Washington's rotation. They start Avdija at the power forward with Len, and they have been starting a 3-guard lineup with Beal, Westbrook, and Raul Neto. So the easiest move here will be to put Bertans as the starter, right? So that would be very, very big.
Where does Rui stand in the rotation? Is he a starter?
Yeah, he's injured, right?
He's out. He was out.
He's out. Rui's out. Not only today. Rui has been out for a while.
I've dropped him already in all my leagues, so even before. So I haven't really been paying attention to Rui, but yeah. So he has been out for a few games. All right, okay.
He's been out for a few games with knee soreness. I don't know when he's coming back. There's no rumors yet, but let's assume he's not yet going to come back. Then it's Bertans who would get the benefit here. He will be probably starting. They don't have any other option unless they're going to play 2 centers. So that's their only option. Bertans should be an ad if he's available. I haven't seen him in waiver wires, but just in case your leagues have him in your waiver wires, you pick him up. And then Raul Neto.
Yep.
Raul Neto, without Rui, without those, with them playing small lineup, 3 small, he's producing quite well.
Yep.
Recently.
He's probably Washington's version of TJ McConnell with less minutes, I guess. But
less stats.
less stats as well. But if he is given minutes, he's very fantasy relevant. He can produce actually steals, some threes, and some scoring. Yes. So
for some reference, he had 18 points, 4 assists, 3 steals, and 3 3-pointers in 36 minutes a while ago.
Yep.
Today's game. And the past 2 games, he has had 36 and 28 minutes without Rui. So
he can be helpful in your team. Of course, at this point, there's really no long-term hold. Everything is just purposeful pickups for whatever you need in your fantasy team. All right, let's move on to more serious or more fantasy relevant players who got injured. Probably the one that may be of less severity would be Clint Capela, who fell bad but was able to return to the game. However, given how he fell, he might see some rest here and there just to be able to get that to heal.
The injury of Capela is a bruise at the back, in his back, and if you saw the way he fell, you would understand it really hurt, and he was able to gut it out in the game because he wanted to win, but after the game he could not walk. So it was really hard to walk. I would believe he has to miss some games. We've seen that with other players who have had this kind of fall, and they have missed 1 or 2 games to really, just get the bruise.
I guess the closest to this is somewhat like a Steph Curry injury, the tailbone one.
The tailbone one, yeah. The tailbone
I think
one
that's the closest one that if you want to compare a little bit. So I think Curry missed, a week?
Yeah, but that was more severe. So we're not trying to scare you guys, especially Capela owners. But the Curry one was more tailbone end. So that was a bone. So that would take a longer while. This one, I think maybe at most maybe a game. I hope it doesn't stiffen up on him. But if it stiffens up like Sabonis, we're here already. Let's talk about
and back could be tricky as well. It can be a lingering nagging injury for a lot of players, and we've seen that a lot as well. The only thing I guess with back injuries, it's not like the hamstring wherein it can get worse when you play. Back injuries is more of a pain tolerance thing, but again, we don't know what's the diagnosis yet. So as always, wait for the diagnosis before making any judgment on what to do with Clint Capela.
In fairness, you don't have anything much to do with Clint Capela, just like Jonas Valanciunas was in concussion. This thing is mild. I don't think you'll drop him. He had 25 and 22, by the way, today. And that's what's irritating for managers, I guess, that he got hurt after playing this kind of a game. There's nobody to add also. John Collins is in minutes restriction, and he's not available in your wires. So if ever, probably Onyeka Okongwu will probably get more minutes, but this is an extremely deep streamer. Extremely deep streamer. And
Gallinari is also still out, so really there's not much. Despite I guess people, those if he misses time, the ones on the floor would probably share on the rebounding chores. So maybe Collins gets a bit more rebounds, Huerter gets a bit more rebounds. So those players who might replace Capela would help out on the rebounding side. Let's move up the ranks. Chris Boucher.
Okay, Boucher.
Here it is, Chris Boucher. After all those conversations and discussions about ad drops on Chris Boucher,
I think it's fitting that we just put the end to all the conversations with this injury. There's no formal diagnosis, but
sprained knee was the initial report.
Yes, I do not think we're gonna see him anytime soon. It's just my own opinion. I don't own Chris Boucher, so maybe it's easy for me to say that you should drop him already right now. It's just me. But a sprained knee usually would take 2 weeks to reevaluate. So I don't know. I don't think it's time to wait on him. Plus, Toronto is already resting healthy players.
Yep.
what more players who really have injuries, right?
And players with potential. I mean, this is not a player who just came from the G League and they had to call him up and then had him play. No, this is a guy that has a lot of potential despite the age and the experience, and I'm sure they will preserve it. Plus, they don't have any excuse now. They could just say they don't have to make up any excuse. They just have to say he's injured, right?
Yeah.
Beneficiaries for this, Cambridge. I guess Cambridge is
a must-add. He started anyway over him. By the way, he started over Boucher. That's something because of the injury, the Boucher owners just forgot about it.
And he doesn't start much as well, I guess.
Yeah, Cambridge, of course, and we have to wait and see what they do with Siakam, with OG, and all these players. So we don't know the other beneficiaries, but if in case that they rest OG again, they rest Siakam again, there will be other beneficiaries, I think, in Toronto, because let's say you remove Boucher, you remove Siakam, you remove OG, a player like Freddie Gillespie.
Yep. Who had, I think, 4 blocks today.
5 blocks and a steal.
Yeah, 5 blocks.
So Freddie is, I mean, this is the time of the year that we get players like this.
Yep. And if you are at a disadvantage, these are the types of players that might win you your matchups.
Yes. Freddie Gillespie, I think if Siakam
misses time.
No, I mean Boucher is out. So if Siakam will rest some games next week, especially next week, remember this Gillespie's name, this guy, Freddie Gillespie. Because he's a block specialist also. He's a small forward who can block.
Yep. So, and always keep an eye on players like Cambridge. Malachi Flynn has been dropped. He could have some value right before the weekends. Probably on Saturday or Sunday, you could probably add him up if you've already cleared your matchup just in time for next week's 5-game week.
Yes.
So that's Boucher, Chris Boucher. We'll wait for the diagnosis, but yeah.
If you can't wait, I mean...
If you can't wait, then...
No, I'll just say this. I think you should drop him. I really think you should drop him already.
Yeah. Even if you're not in the playoffs, if you're not yet in the playoffs, because there are other leagues that are not yet in the playoffs.
If you're not in the playoffs, you wait for the diagnosis. But if you're in the quarter, semis, or finals, whatever stage of your playoff, I would drop him because a knee sprain, again, it's not an ACL, but it will take time.
Besides, this week, they only have 1 game left.
Exactly.
Most likely, he won't be playing anymore, so might just stream that spot and worry about next week in case he decides to play.
He won't play the 5 games next week. I doubt it. He'll play the 5 games.
There you go. So it makes it easier.
You're now down to week 19, right? Where they have only 3 games again. So I'll just remove the uncertainty and drop him.
Yep. And there have been a lot of free agents there that can be added. And the last player who probably is the highest in terms of value, I guess, or in terms of name value, Trae Young. Sprained ankle, scary twist. Not sure if it's how bad it is.
He
said it's not as bad as it looked.
He said he was in good spirits after. So remember, Trae had a bad sprain last year, if I remember.
Yep, last year.
He came back like in 2 weeks.
After a week.
A week or 2. It was
just a short break.
It was supposed to be a month, I think, and then 2 weeks he was coming back already. So, possible this might be a 1 week thing. Possible. So, let's just wait and see what the exact MRI findings are. But I'm more interested in sharing with you, like, what will happen with Atlanta. Let's say Capela and Young are out. I mean, Porter, I was able to pick him up in the 12-team league a while ago. So, he might still be available, and he will really, really be the biggest beneficiary for me.
Someone was actually happy. I forgot who, but someone was actually happy that we recommended Werther as an ad yesterday.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's been good even before this injury. So, he probably should be better after this injury.
He should be even better. Yes. Now, if you're in deep pre league or you don't have Werther, you're in 14-team league. I said Brandon Goodwin. I said Lou Williams. I'm just basing it on what happened the last time that Trae was out.
Yep.
It was Brandon Goodwin who averaged 12 points, I think, and 4 assists, 3 rebounds, something like that. Those are good numbers, I think. I mean, if you want a little help at the point guard position. So good win over Lou Williams for me, but both of them might have tiny value, especially if both Capela and Young would rest. If both of them will be out, the more these guys, you'll say, it's a point guard, what does it have to do with Capela? Everybody moves up. Like Collins will have to play center, right? Like Bogdan will play power forward. So Solomon Hill will play power forward. So they may play small ball.
Yep.
So these two will be usable. So
so that's the Trae Young injury. I think we just have to wait and see. Most likely you won't drop Trae Young at this point. Even if you're in the playoffs, because this might be a minor thing that he can shake it off after a day or two. All right, so those are the injuries. Let's move on to happier news. Especially, you know who it is.
Kevin Love.
Kevin Love played today again. How many games left? Hasn't missed a game since we took that bet.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about bounce back players. I didn't put him there anymore. I don't want to rub it in that I will lose this bet.
No, not yet. It's still not clear. He can find it.
No.
Towards the end
I can see it already. I can see. I always lose bets like this, and I'm actually already thinking which league I will pick him up next year, which will be better for
the dynasty. I think it would be the better option.
I think for bounce back players, Kevin Love is one big bounce back player. He has been playing very well.
He's been playing very well, and without any notes whatsoever in terms of I don't wanna jinx it, but there have been no notes about he is questionable or he is game time decision or he could be rested. No news like that.
He has played in 11 straight games. That must be a record for him.
Wait, those 11, so that's 11 games already for me?
No. That we look at
how many games left? I think it's around 8 or 9.
Something like that.
I think it's around 8 or 9.
And I think it's safer right now because when we were having this bet, it was 16 that he has to play over 5 minutes. Right now, it's kind of close, like 8 and 5 or 7 and 5. So it's close. So I think he's gonna make it through because
as long as he doesn't miss 6 games, I think that's 5 games. 5 games.
I don't think he's gonna miss 5 games anymore.
Well, we don't know. We don't know.
That's what
With Kevin Love, we don't know. So, but having said that, let's move on from Kevin Love because we might jinx it too much. Jaren Jackson Jr. finally played, and I'm sure. Well, if you rostered him, I'm sure you will be happy with what he did today. 4 blocks.
And how many threes?
I think he had 3 or 4.
3 threes.
Yeah. Wait, let me check. I forgot, but it's multiple threes as well.
Yeah. We talked about this yesterday, and we said, should we play him already? First game back, a year out, and I said, play.
Oh
him.
No, he just had 1 3, but he had 15 and 8. 15 and 8.
4 blocks.
4 blocks. Yeah.
His shooting was rusty. That's normal. But as I said, play him whenever. My reason last night was, get
you waited too long. You waited too long.
And get whatever you can, right? I mean, if he can help me win this week, at least I would say, hey, I didn't wait for nothing, right? To help me somehow.
Yep.
So for me, blocks and threes.
The biggest stat line there was the 4 blocks. Actually, it's hard to get players who can give you 4 blocks. It's
There
hard to
is-
get one. I mean,
there is
Right.
no reason for anybody not to play him right away, and there will be no reason for anybody not to play AD tomorrow. You also play AD tomorrow. You play Jaren Jackson today, and just see where it goes. Because as I said, I told Jeremy, I think he'll stay as off the bench.
mhm.
That's what I feel. He'll come off the bench. So let's see. I think I like it better if he comes off the bench because he'll play center. If he plays power forward together with Jonas Valanciunas, his value won't be as high, and that has been his problem. That has been his problem the past few years. That's why he kind of stuck to the 40s, right? 30s, 40s. He can't go
Yep.
higher because if his value is threes and blocks, and he's guarding power forwards, the blocks isn't,
Gonna be there. Yes.
the opportunities won't be as high. So right now, being a backup center or playing the center position will be his best bet for fantasy relevance.
Yep. So yeah, finally, Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
is back. I'm sure
He'll be injured in a while.
Just he hasn't really finished the season
Yes.
without an injury. So I guess that's how they did it. Made sure that he'll probably finish this one. I would feel he'll finish this one because he didn't start this season. So maybe they tried to reverse it the other way around. All right, other bounce back players. Well, bounce back in the sense that they played well and not necessarily came from injury. Kelly Oubre. We talked about Oubre yesterday.
And
Commissioned, he should be good still, and he was good today.
he was good, and I think the last game I'll just skip that because it's just the first game back. So before, I was looking before that, and 3 straight 20-point games before that. Now another 20-point game. I don't care if he comes off the bench or starts. Doesn't matter. Golden State doesn't have any more scorers. Wiggins, Curry, and Oubre. That's it. So there's
Yep.
no way that he's gonna be bad in every game. So
Yep.
he's a hold for me. He's a hold for me.
So Kelly Oubre, hopefully he's back and become more consistent. The Detroit boys came back from the rest. Mason Plumlee and Jeremy Grant. Mason Plumlee did pretty well today.
Yes, Mason Plumlee had one of his best games in a while.
He
Yeah,
had
the-
13, 16, and 7. 13 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists with just 2 turnovers. Didn't have a block or steal, but he was 5 of 5 from the free throw.
Sometimes I feel these coaches are playing with us. Like Nick
Hey, a
Nurse.
lot of managers drop Mason Plumlee.
Exactly. And we said drop Mason Plumlee. He has been averaging 16, 17 minutes a game.
Yep.
Right? He has not been playing a lot of minutes. And then today, he plays 32 minutes.
Yep, and
So I said-
it's going to be interesting because it's a back-to-back tomorrow. There's no news that they'll be rested, so they might still play.
It's, as I said, these coaches are really teasing us. Nick Nurse, now Dwayne Casey. He played Isaiah Stewart 15 minutes today, which,
Yeah,
and I wrote this because like Jeremy Grant also had a big game, 26 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 3-pointers.
yep.
Of course, fantasy managers will ask us what we think, what should we do. I do not know because I really do not know how to deal with coaches who does these kinds of things. But if it was my team, I'll keep Jeremy Grant for the meantime because he played today. I'll keep him. I'll see what happens in the next game. Mason Plumlee, it's a 50-50 for me. I might drop him for somebody else because tomorrow I'm pretty sure he's not going to play. If he plays tomorrow, I'll be
You
surprised.
drop him for Stewart.
Is Stewart still available in your leagues? I mean,
Well, maybe after today someone dropped him. I mean,
yes.
Some managers might feel like, oh, he's back in the bench. I'd probably just drop him again. But Stewart, gave good numbers as well. I think he had 6 and 7.
7 and 6. Those are not good numbers for.
Well, for the minutes that he played, I mean,
Yes, but Of course, that would not be. There's no moral victories nowadays. If he gives you
Yeah.
76, and then you replaced him with Plumlee, you will say, "Hey, I made a wrong decision." But you cannot say that because when you switched him, Plumlee did not play for a couple of games, and Stewart was giving you so many stats. You cannot keep on switching these two guys, right?
Yep.
It's not possible. So right now, you just go looking at the overall picture, and I think overall, the rest of the season, the rest of the way, Stewart will have more games where he will play more minutes and he will produce more than Mason Plumlee. So I will still go Stewart over Plumlee. Now, for other managers who see Plumlee in their waiver wires, you stream him. When there's no news that he's gonna rest, it's not a back-to-back, you stream him. But if it's a back-to-back, then you drop him again.
To be honest, personally, I won't probably touch Mason Plumlee anymore, even if on a stream, if there are other options, because he can play like 16 minutes in a game. He probably would play and then play 16 minutes. He's done that. Dwayne Casey has done that in the past, even before this breakout. But when he's playing Plumlee, he's playing him like 15, 16, or less than 20 minutes a game, and he won't be as good with less than 20 minutes a game. So personally, I'd probably just stay away, just so, especially if it's playoffs. Like, you add him, it's a big risk. And then he gives you just 15 minutes a game, then that's a big drop off from the production as well.
It's a stats base, I guess. If you're really desperate for, let's say, rebounds and assists, because he's one of the few centers who could give rebounds and assists. So let's say that combo is what you need. Then maybe you don't have a choice. Just give it a chance, right?
Yep.
But
it's probably a case to case basis, and your preference, I guess, and whoever is in your waiver wire. Other players that played well, Tyrese Haliburton, we just talked about him yesterday as well. If he is a drop,
so will you drop him now?
If you're in the playoffs, I don't mind dropping him. I mean, he gave good numbers, but I can get those numbers from Bruce Brown. I mean, who's in the waiver, right? Or maybe a Frank Jackson. I can get those points and threes from Frank Jackson. I mean, it's not a big impact if he, and they don't have a game for the next 3 days.
That's the one that's really a deal breaker for a lot of managers. If I guess it was just an every other day situation for him, managers would pick him up or would not drop him. For me, again, if you're in your playoffs and you really need the roster spot that he's holding right now, then you drop him. But if you're not, or if you're leading and you can hold, I'm still holding Haliburton. He's in a slump, but he had a good game today. It might be a start of something good. So, let's see. They have a tough schedule coming up.
But again, if you are in your semis, for example, I don't mind dropping him already with a 3-day break. You should have dropped him before this 3-day break. I mean, after this game.
After this game.
Yeah, especially if you're behind. If you're ahead, then that's okay. But if you're behind, I think he is worth the drop. Moses Brown, another player. Well, coincidentally, no one's been dropping Moses Brown.
Everybody's waiting for the 5-game week. And as I said, if you can wait for the 5-game week, you wait for it. Because if he has 2 or 3 of these games out of 5, then it's okay. Like the 2 other games, he gives you nothing and then 6 rebounds and 1 block. 2 of that will be 12 rebounds and 2 blocks, right? So
if you average it out, it's still not bad.
Not bad, yeah.
So Moses Brown is still there. So those are the bounce back players of the day. Waiver wire specials, we talked about Bruce Brown for a bit. He has been a stud. I think managers are slowly recognizing that, and has been, I think none of my leagues have Bruce Brown right now. Other players, O'Shea Brissett of the Indiana Pacers has started, I think, a couple of games already.
Yeah, and it was a special situation though. Indiana didn't have anybody taller than 6'7" a while ago. So it's a PBA team, and O'Shea, of course, the tallest guy. He got the rebounds and everything, 2 steals, 3 blocks. A lot of people added him out of that. I would rather have Najee Marshall to be honest than O'Shea. But he's fine if Sabonis will still be out the next few games. I think he
I
might.
wouldn't be surprised if Sabonis would still be out the next game because there will be against Detroit. And it's probably a better matchup. I mean, it's not a big team or not really a very big team to deal with in the first place. So he might Sabonis might set that one out. Hopefully not, because that's the last game of the week.
This is an exciting.
Indiana.
We're debating O'Shea, Brissett, and Najee Marshall. I mean,
another one of our
useless debate.
No, I mean, but these times, I think these are the players that would matter a lot, right? Because the big name players, they're really for the trade market, right? And right now, you don't drop them unless they got injured. And for some, even if they got injured, you probably don't drop them, right? Players like Sabonis, Valanciunas, right? So these are where the finds from the waiver wire is going to matter a lot.
And by the way, KPJ is also, well, of course, we're gonna talk about
KPJ is also out.
Yeah. So
KPJ is out. I think it's not clear. He's really not injured. It says their protocol. I think it had something to do with the Sterling Brown situation. So he is out. We're not sure how long.
He's out until this week. So the whole week he's out.
Yeah. So if there was a question, I think I forgot where it was. If KPJ should be a drop.
Yeah, I'm reading it now.
I think it's a 10-team league.
In our FBW group, there's a lot of KPJ comments and questions whether they should drop. And some of you guys gave good answers. Like if you're in the playoffs, you drop. If you're not, you wait. Yeah. I think it's basically something like that. But
if you're in the playoffs, I mean, KPJ is, it's really not the big, he can help, but not a big name really.
But he's INJ eligible already, right away.
He is.
So if you can try to put him there instead of dropping him, that would be good.
But there's so many on the INJ.
You have to choose.
Today I dropped Richaun Holmes just to survive a playoff.
You might have to do that. I mean,
I did it, and I just realized I might have this slim chance of upsetting my opponent because I'm just down 5 steals, and 5 steals could just mean lucky 5 swipes. So
Richaun Holmes has if he doesn't play the back-to-back coming up, he's gonna have Utah and Lakers after that. So it's gonna be a tough schedule for him.
So there. Tough decisions, but you have to make it. I think it's easier to make drops if you are already in your semis or in your quarters, because if it's for survival, then you do it. When we talk about KPJ, Armani Brooks, what a name, right? Could benefit.
Armani, he's a 3-point specialist. You guys have to know these players. I mean, you just don't add players because, hey, this guy. You have to understand the games of these players. Like Gillespie, a blocker. Like Armani Brooks is a 3-point shooter. As a 3-point there.
Okay, so he's a point. I'm just finding the name, finding the player just to... Yeah, he did 6 points, 10 rebounds today, and 4 assists. But he shot 2 out of 11, so I'm not sure if that's going to be a very enticing ad. And the last game, he shot 3 out of 12. So in 2 games, he shot 5 out of 23. But he can score, I guess. Not very enticing for me, but if you really are desperate for some scoring, some threes.
If you're down in field goals already.
Yep, you can add
this.
It's
a good ad because DJ Augustine is also out.
Mm-hmm.
So John Wall they have a back-to-back coming up, and John Wall won't play the back-to-back, right? So no KPJ, no John Wall, no DJ, no Sterling Brown.
Yep.
So this guy with a big game, and then he didn't pick him up. It could be too late.
Your next game is against the Clippers. I don't know if it's gonna be a good idea. After that, it's gonna be at Denver.
It's gonna be fine.
But
It's gonna be
yeah, you can roll the dice with him. He might win you those threes and
yeah,
right.
assists.
And assists, and he can rebound. He had 10 today. So yeah, Armani Brooks. And the last is Naz Reid.
Yeah.
Actually, Naz Reid has been in and out of the waivers because he's been okay throughout. I think more than I guess Jaden and Vanderbilt, who were hyped up throughout the season, or at least some parts of the season. Naz Reid has been quietly there. He's been good.
He's good. He's top 100 this year, right? And everybody's talking about Tito Tad and Tito Taj Gibson. You know, this guy is better than not both of them, not Tad, but Taj Gibson is better. He's better than Xavier Tillman. He's better than a lot of big men who's been getting more hype, so to speak. And he doesn't need injuries because he's just getting 20 minutes and he's producing in those 20 minutes.
Yep.
So the only thing is they have a 2-day break. So a lot of managers dropped him because of this 2-day break. So after the 2-day break, if you are still alive, pick him up. There.
Yep.
You have the opportunity.
Next week they start on a back-to-back, so that's a good schedule as well, at least on the early part.
Yeah. Carl Anthony Towns might.
I hope not, because I have a lot of Carl Anthony Towns right now, and I rely on them for me to win in these playoff matchups.
But this is a winning tip, guys. If Naz Reid was dropped in your leagues, wait until the day after tomorrow, maybe pick him up. Next week, he has games against Houston, Golden State, and New Orleans, and he's gonna have good games against those terrible teams.
Yep. I have a question. Kem Birch, for example.
Yes.
Do you add him now?
Yes.
Even if you're in the playoffs, he won't play a couple of days. Play one game.
Okay, let's break it down. We're already.
Let's say in your quarters or in your semis. Because obviously, if you're in the regular season still, you pick him up.
Yeah. You pick him up after 3 o'clock tomorrow, Manila time. I mean, because that's when...
Because they have the game.
They have the game already against New York, right? And that is already on Sunday. So it's basically, the same already. So I'll pick him up already at that time. Because you could use him on Sunday.
Yep. Okay.
Right? And then it's just Monday that he doesn't have a game. And then he'll have a game already the next week, almost every day. So that's what I'll do. If you can hold off until 3 p.m. If Kem Birch is still available in your leagues, nobody in the right mind will pick him up at this time. I mean, if people wanted to pick up Kem Birch because of the Boucher injury, they would have done so when the injury happened.
Yep. If you're in the playoffs, it's actually going to be a tricky situation because if you pick him up right now, he won't give you anything. And if you have moves, you probably just stream those moves and you'll get more stats, right? So, and I was telling Komish a while ago that in one of the leagues, someone picked OG because someone dropped OG because they had 2 games only. Someone picked OG, but they won't be able to use them, and that is apparently the opponent of the person I'm helping out. So, I mean, I told the person is that you're lucky because the one who picked OG is your opponent. They won't be able to use them in 2 games. Probably just use them in 1 game. You could use 3 moves, and they'll probably give you more than what OG will give you in 1 game. Plus, if you win, no other opponent will be able to use OG because you've already beaten the player who got OG. And because that the friend of mine was the one who dropped OG. So there might be some regret there in dropping OG. But anyway, the timing is always as well crucial.
The psychology. Nowadays, when one thing you have to always look at is the recent transaction area in Yahoo. You have to look at it every single hour.
Yep.
Like who picked up who, and then you have to know all the matchups coming up. Like, don't just look at this week, look at next week, look at, you have to analyze all the moves of everybody right
Think
now.
a step ahead, right? Not just think of...
And the psychology I said a while ago, if somebody like Kemba is available in the FA, nobody will pick him up now. They will wait until 3 p.m. to pick him up. So you wait until 3 p.m. exactly. You wait in the computer and pick him up during that time.
Yep. And those moves are going to be very crucial as well for you to win a league. And yep, that's it. Anything else, Komish?
No, nothing.
All right, so that's a lengthy discussion, but yeah, we're good. And we'll see you again tomorrow for another daily fantasy quickie. Good luck, guys, and bye.